Sometimes there are just perfect days to speak to certain guests, and there's sometimes there are just perfect days to speak to certain guests.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
It is the Josh Graham Show. Graham's Gambling. 20 minutes from now, we're going to place some bets. Maybe one of those bets could be on the winner of NBA Rookie of the Year, because the NBA draft just wrapped up. And let's just get to it. North Carolina's Caleb Wilson, selected 4th overall by the Chicago Bulls, is going to win the NBA Rookie of the Year next year. He doesn't have the best odds, or the second best, or the third, or even the fourth, despite the fact he was the 4th pick. 5th best odds to do so, but he's going to win the award. We're preparing you for this now. He is right there with the 3 players that were taken in front of him. And now you just gave Caleb this enormous chip on his shoulder to motivate him throughout this rookie season. Out of the top 4 guys selected, Caleb was the only one that faced the other 3 in his freshman season in college. AJ and Caleb met, AJ DeBonsa, Caleb Wilson, met in an exhibition in Salt Lake City. Caleb had 22 and 18 or 22 and 10, while AJ DeBonsa had 18 and 8, if memory serves. Better stats, Caleb was the better player in that game. Soon after, Caleb met Darren Peterson's Jayhawks head-to-head. Caleb Wilson outperformed Darren, and North Carolina beat Kansas in Chapel Hill. Yours truly was there. We were there for the game at the Smith Center. Cam Boozer only lost 3 games at Duke. Duke, North Carolina was the game we were there for in February of this year. Cam Boozer lost 3 games at Duke. One of them was the game he ran into Caleb Wilson in Chapel Hill. This is something, by the way, that Caleb Wilson pointed out when he met with the local media in Chicago following the NBA draft. Here's how that sounded.
I mean, you know what happened when I played him. So, I mean, it don't really matter. I don't really care about the media. I'm a competitor, and I get to play in the summer league too. So, whatever need to be done to prove that I'm on the same level but I'm better, we'll do it.
He's not just talking about beating them in the regular season. My man is so incentivized and motivated. He's talking about beating these guys in summer league. Just got summer league schedules. The first night, you're going to have 1v2, AJ DeBonsa facing Darren Peterson, Utah meeting Washington. And you're going to have Caleb Wilson, Chicago Bulls, face Cam Boozer's Memphis Grizzlies. And don't forget, Caleb played with the least talented college team between these 4, as evidenced by Carolina being close to a top 10 team when Caleb had his hand injury and went out. Once Caleb went out, they went from a borderline top 10 team to being a non-factor, blowing a 19-point lead at an NCAA tournament game, first round, and Hubert Davis getting fired. None of his teammates were selected in the top 50 picks of the NBA draft. Not something Cam Boozer can say. Not something even AJ DeBonsa can say. Richie Saunders, an early second-round pick. That BYU team the year before was in the Sweet 16. Role is very important when you think about having early success in the NBA. If you're talking about the Rookie of the Year conversation, and Caleb's role in Chicago is going to be a huge factor in this. See, a good example would be Cooper Flagg this past year winning the Rookie of the Year. The only reason he won the award was because he was allowed to take all of the shots for a tanking Mavs team, while Con Knippel in Charlotte was playing in a lesser usage role, but playing in more meaningful games. More shots were going to better players like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. There were more shots to go around versus Dallas, that really the only purpose that was left for their season was getting Cooper Flagg the Rookie of the Year award. When you look at the top 2 picks, AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson, they're not going to be leaned on in high usage roles. Not right away. Washington has Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Utah has a slew of guys. Keontae George, Jaren Jackson, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, maybe even Ace Bailey ahead of Darren Peterson in the pecking order. What does Caleb Wilson have? Okay, there's Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis. That's it. And those guys, there's not a lot of overlap. They probably are going to help and enhance Caleb's chances of winning the award, not the other way around. You might think, well, Josh, are you forgetting about Cam Boozer? Given the way that Cam plays, there's likely going to be an adjustment period with how he deals with the speed of the NBA and the physicality of the NBA in finding his role. It's pretty clear what Caleb Wilson's being brought in to do, and focusing on Caleb, the mindset he has is everything you want in a star player, in a franchise player. He exudes poise and confidence, and he's even talking about winning the Rookie of the Year award. Here was Caleb again talking specifically about the Rookie of the Year.
I mean, I expect to have Rookie of the Year, honestly. I mean, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do what it takes. I feel like the team is really good for me and how I envision to play. And I know I'm a hard worker, so whatever I need to fix it and work on throughout the season and before the season, I'm going to work on it so I can be a great player.
I feel so confident in this. As somebody who watched Darren Peterson play multiple times this past season, the games that he did play, watch Caleb Wilson a ton of times, watch Cam Boozer up close in person. We're based in the state of North Carolina. He has the best physical tools in this draft. Does that mean he has the highest ceiling of any player? Maybe Darren Peterson's ceiling is a little higher because of, well, you just don't know exactly what Darren Peterson you're going to get based on some of the strangeness surrounding his freshman season at Kansas. But in terms of physical tools, it's not better in this draft than Caleb Wilson. If you didn't watch him before he got hurt, he's the best dunker in college basketball. This guy's an absolute star. And he has there's a word that gets thrown around a lot by the Utes. Aura. That's a word you hear a lot. Caleb Wilson's got aura. And while we're forecasting that he's just going to win the Rookie of the Year award, again, fifth best odds, that's disrespectful at plus 950. We're expecting he's going to be the best player in this draft, too. Don't think that that's a stretch whatsoever to say that he could be the best player in this draft. 310-840-4910. A question we're asking in the wake of the Minnesota LaMelo Ball trade, bringing him in from Charlotte. Is Minnesota Sports Hell USA? Because this isn't going to work, and when it doesn't, they're probably going to be where Milwaukee was at this offseason, just looking for suitors to send the superstar to. And Minnesota's been through a lot. Is that Sports Hell USA? 310-840-4910. Shifting the conversation to Major League Baseball. Not trying to steer the show into bummerdom. Not trying to do this. Really? We're talking about Sports Hell USA? Maybe it's because it's raining outside today that we're just kind of in this gloomy mood. But that's really, honestly, a nice picture of what this Major League Baseball season has been as we approach the first half of the season coming to a close. We pretty much have hit the first half of the Major League Baseball season ending. And if you're looking at what defines it, it's been clouded. It's been a rain cloud over the sport. Probably the biggest thing to take away through the first few months. Every week, there's a new headline that shows just how far apart the Players Association and the MLB owners are ahead of the collective bargaining agreement expiring December 1 and a looming strike next year, a looming work stoppage. First, you had the salary cap proposal, something we haven't seen the owners even suggest since the 1994 strike. Then it's the new amateur entry proposal preventing high schoolers to jump straight into the pro ranks. You know, players don't like that. And this week, owners are suggesting free agents can sign contracts no longer than 5 years with a new team. You could sign to a 6-year deal with your current team, no more than 5 years. So that's not something players like either. They want as much freedom and flexibility to sign for as much money as they want and for as many years as they want. So it does seem that a work stoppage is looming and is inevitable. To add fuel to that fire, you have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, LA has won the last 2 World Series, and you got Dave Roberts up there gloating about it. Oh, they're saying we're ruining baseball, and everybody knows kind of what it is. What'd they do this offseason, despite the fact they won the last 2 titles? They signed Edwin Diaz, and then just for bleeps and giggles, it felt like. They didn't need this guy at all. They land the best outfielder on the market and Kyle Tucker, signing him to a record deal with a lot of deferred money in it. Just like they did with Shohei Ohtani. They're gaming the system, and they're spending more than everybody else. And if you were to look at the standings right now, the LA Dodgers are currently 52-30. That is the best record in Major League Baseball. And don't think that hasn't been noticed by the owners when looking at labor disputes. But even if you try to ignore all of that and just focus on the baseball piece, we've already seen 3 managers get fired this year. And it's not small managers whose name you might not recognize. You're talking about some of the biggest brands in the game. In April, the Red Sox and the Phillies made changes. Philly, they've since rebounded. They look like they're in good position, winning record right there in the mix back in the NL East. But the Boston Red Sox, they're tied for the fewest wins in the American League right now. This week, the Mets finally put Carlos Mendoza out of his misery. But it wasn't his fault that they were so bad. To be defensive of Carlos Mendoza for a second, just look at the decisions roster-wise that David Stearns made. Now, the owners, when they make the argument for the LA Dodgers, oh, it's existential. How much money they're spending. How can teams compete? Are we just going to ignore the fact that the Mets spent the second most? And right there with the Dodgers, neck and neck, and here they are, missing the playoffs last year and going to miss the playoffs again this season as well? That blame doesn't just fall on Carlos Mendoza. It falls on David Stearns, too, for letting a player such as Edwin Diaz leave your building and go to L.A., and Brandon Nimmo, and Pete Alonso to my beloved Baltimore Orioles. And some of the other moves that they've made hasn't made a lot of sense. Handicapping your manager rather than just pulling off the Band-Aid after last year by firing his entire staff and purging it. That's not how winning organizations generally act. Heck, if we're talking about firings, the Angels, what the hell are they doing? The Angels made a managing change last offseason, letting Ron Washington walk, BFF, friend of the program, and also bringing in Nick Suzuki, the manager. And just a few months after having that new manager in place, you fire the GM? To make it even wilder, the draft is just in a few weeks, and you just fired your general manager? The Angels are just going to continue angeling. Probably the best way to put it. But it's hard to avoid the negativity that's out there. The AL, pretty much everybody in the American League's bad. The Dodgers have the best record. They spend more than anyone else. You got the labor stuff looming over everything. And then major brands are all firing their managers. It's not a whole lot of fun for anybody to be following these types of stories. It does feel like a rain cloud is over America's pastime. But as mentioned, on today's card of bets, we have a 3-leg soccer parlay to hand out, a baseball pick, and even a basketball pick. And we'll share those with you next on The Josh Graham Show.
NFL training camps open in 1 month. Yes, you're allowed to get excited.
All going through it together. Let's go.
It's almost time to pull that jersey out of the back of your closet. Here we go! Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
World Cup matches kick off in the next 20 minutes. Somebody explain that one to me like I'm 5. The United States is hosting the World Cup. So you would think, oh, we're going to kick things off at times that make sense for our time zones, right? Yet we don't have a noon window game. We don't have a 3 o'clock window game. We have to wait till 5 o'clock Eastern time for these games to kick off. There is a benefit to that. It means we have time on this program to hand out some bets, perhaps, specifically one for tonight's action. We'll do that in just a bit. But before the games kick off in about 20 minutes, let's get you set for today's action we're going to see. Front and center, top billing, Harry Kane and the English national team. The last time we saw England, Harry Kane missed a golden opportunity against Ghana. That led to the shocking draw between England and Ghana, one of the more shocking results we've seen in this tournament so far. Because of the tie, England, they're not going to be resting starters in this game. They need to either win or draw to win the group. This match is going to be played in the Netherlands. If Kane scores against Panama, Harry Kane becomes the country's all-time standalone leader for World Cup goals. The best game of the day is probably Portugal and Colombia. Will Dalton, see if you can pull up StubHub or SeatGeek. Don't think we have a sponsor specifically attached that does ticketing, Ticketmaster, or any of these places, and see what the cheapest ticket you can find for this match is. Because last night, looked into it, was hosting Westwood One Sports Night, late night, saw that the cheapest ticket was a little over $2,000. Some places tickets, like the cheapest place you can find is closer to $3,000 than $2,000. It is seen as the most expensive ticket in the group stages so far, Portugal and Colombia. And that makes sense. Colombian soccer fans, they are insane. And you want to talk about destination cities to watch a match? How about Miami, Hard Rock Stadium? And how about on the other side of the field, Cristiano Ronaldo? And for good measure, this game, unlike the U.S.-Turkey match a couple days ago, this game means something. The winner of this match wins the group. So Portugal, Colombia, that is a whale of a matchup tonight. Will Dalton, if you and I were grabbing a couple of ticks to watch Portugal, Colombia, what are we spending?
Give me a second.
How are you so bad at searching things on the internet? Gave you literally a minute and a half to search. If I find this before you find this, I'm going to walk over there and punch you in the mouth. That's what I'm going to do. Are you kidding? I just searched Portugal, Colombia tickets, and what pops up on SeatGeek? What do you know? Tickets. Oh, wait. It doesn't have a price on it. Are you running into the same problem that I just ran into? That they block.
There's nothing there.
Is this one of the geo-fencing things that say that we can't buy tickets? Is that something that's happening in Miami?
Let's see what Chat GPT spits out.
Chat GPT, can we get any of the... Do you think AI... And why would we trust AI on this? Honestly.
I'm just trying to get some information.
So many times I search things on there, and it's just patently false. And what's even better is, when I research things, I don't really use AI. So I'll give a take, and then somebody will respond, "You're wrong." I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then they'll hit me, "AI says you are." And then I cite the specific thing that says I'm right. AI is wrong all the time.
Tickets for Colombia, Portugal, not available on your Ticketmasters, your StubHubs. But according to ChatGPT, secondary market prices are starting around $600, $700 per seat.
See, I just found on the resale market. This is according to Grok. You want to use another AI. Starting prices are at minimum $2,100.
Yeah.
To $2,700. So that's the cheapest that you're looking at. It's supposed to be the most expensive match there is. Elsewhere on the World Cup slate tonight, you have Argentina that's expected to rest Lionel Messi. At least he's going to start on the bench. The champs group stage finale. You got Ghana, Croatia, that could be fun. Algeria, Austria could be very intense. Some meaningful matches to close out the group stages and punching tickets to the knockout round. As for the bets, let's hand them out. It's time for today's Graham's Gambling.
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Okay, Will. See if you're tracking here. Got a 3-leg parlay on England-Panama. Leg number 1. England to win the match. Think they're going to be crispy after having the draw against Ghana. So let's start there. That's probably the easiest leg. These odds courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. Second leg. Harry Kane, anytime goal scorer. That's minus 200 odds. Harry Kane missed that golden chance. Harry Kane, multiple goals in the Croatia match to open things up. Harry Kane with history on the line. He's going to score Third leg, England over 2.5 goals scored, team total. So they'll get to 3 goals in the game. That's minus 120 or minus 135 odds where you look at it. You put all that together, it's plus money at plus 105. There you go. England to win, Harry Kane anytime goal scorer, England over 2.5 goals, plus money. That is our 3-leg parlay that we are rolling with. England, Panama at the top of the hour. Kickoff time expected at around 5:10 Eastern time. Baseball. I'm doubling down on the Chicago Cubs tonight. Last night I had them against The Miz, who was throwing 105. And here's the thing. Chicago was leading that game when The Miz exited. It was 2-1, and then Chicago's bullpen fell apart. I think the Cubs are good. And David Peterson was just acquired from the New York Mets. This is his Cubs debut tonight. We say that they bounce back after last night's loss. Plus 135 for Chicago to win the game. Plus 135. Those odds should not be that high when it's not Mizorowski on the mound. So we are on the Cubs. Go Cubs, go. Fly the dub. All of that. Which brings us to NBA Rookie of the Year odds. Will Dalton, be honest. Have you already placed NBA Rookie of the Year odds? Have you already done this?
No, but
okay.
I might be getting ready to do it.
See, that's what we're here for, to try to help you out, so that way you can solve the puzzle. Because yours truly has already placed a few NBA Rookie of the Year bets. We're betting Caleb Wilson to win the Rookie of the Year. It's so blatantly disrespectful that his odds are at plus 950. He's the 4th pick, and he has the 5th best odds. Do you know who the betting favorite to win Rookie of the Year is? Do you want to guess?
Is it Cam Boozer?
It is. Plus 240. Darren Peterson, 4-1. AJ DeBonsa, 4-1. Darius Acuff Jr. is at
Insane.
plus 450. Okay, I get why he's there. Oh, he scores a lot. He'll get opportunity in Sacramento. Don't hate it. But plus 450 odds, that's just crazy. Caleb Wilson is more than 9-1 odds to win Rookie of the Year, so we're just going to take advantage of that. And we're also going to shoot a long shot of all long shots. At 200-1 odds to win Rookie of the Year, Abuka Okori. You laugh!
No,
and I'll tell you, here's why you shouldn't laugh. He was, other than Caleb Wilson, my favorite prospect of this draft. Love this guy. He just scores the absolute P word out of the basketball, or S word out of the basketball, whatever you care to insert there. That's what he does. And you know what Detroit was lacking? A second guy who could do that other than Cade Cunningham. So that's a good basketball team that he's going on, and I think he's going to get opportunity. And he's going to get a lot of open looks with the guys who surround him. I love Abuka Okori out of Stanford. 200-1 odds. Throw a $5 on that. Cash out $1,000 when he wins Rookie of the Year at this time next year. So there you go. In review, England to win, Harry Kane anytime goal scorer, England over 2.5 goals. That 3-leg parlay is around even odds, but still plus money. Doubling down on the Cubs, plus 135 tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. It is David Peterson's Cubs debut, and a couple of Rookie of the Year bets. Plus 950, Caleb Wilson to win Rookie of the Year for the Chicago Bulls. Abuka Okori, Detroit Pistons at 200-1. Long shot there.
I mean, there's a lot of value there.
You think?
There's a lot of. I love the Caleb Wilson pick. I like the England parlay as well. I'm in the mix on some of that. I might have to indulge.
Looking at some of the comments here. Make sure, if you haven't already, you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, Westwood One Sports Night. Shout out to Aaron and West Coast. Apologies for some audio issues at the start of the program. That's been Graham's Gambling for the day, by the way. Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube, our Apple Podcast feed as well, and Spotify. You could search Westwood One Sports Night and find whatever you might miss from this show. The YouTube channel, you can find some interviews too. In less than a half hour, we are going to be joined by our teammate, Drake Toll. Drake Toll of the Drake Toll Show, national morning show host during the week on Westwood One Sports. And the reason we're catching up with him, he is one of the voices of Banana Ball. And you want to talk about something fun tonight? He's going to be joining us from Autzen Stadium, home of the Oregon Ducks football program out in Eugene. The Savannah Bananas face the Party Animals on ESPN proper tonight, and Drake Toll's going to be on the call for that. Tomorrow, he's going to be on ABC with the Savannah Bananas, but prior to that, he will be joining us. And that's just, it is incredible to see how that's grown. Every week, I'm texting Drake, dude, did you really just talk to this person? In the booth last week, they had Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O just hanging out. When they went to Baton Rouge, some person named Livy Dunn was on with them. Now I've got Will Dalton's attention. His ears just perked up over there. And it's every week. I mean, McAfee, just stars upon stars, because Drake Toll himself is a star. And the Savannah Bananas are just soaring into the sun. One of the more fascinating stories in American sports right now. So Drake Toll is going to join us from Autzen Stadium in about 20 minutes. But prior to that, the question that we've asked today, 310-840-4910, where is Sports Hell USA? Rather than just asking the question, let's explore answers. Let's get into the prime candidates of who that might be, and also the story everybody seems to be talking about that we're tempted to look away from. That's next on The Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We're live on a Saturday, Josh Graham Show. And here's how we prove just how live we are. Jaylen Brown is active in the past hour with his Twitter fingers, or his X fingers. By the way, on X, you could be watching the show at Josh Graham Show on YouTube. Westwood One Sports Night, however, and wherever you listen or watch nationwide, the United States and Canada. Greatly appreciate that. So NBA Central, at the Dunk Central, sent out a tweet quoting Bobby Marks saying Jaylen Brown's trade value isn't that high around the league. Quote, I had an analytics guy tell me, we view Jaylen Brown as the 7th best player on a team. He apparently said that on some radio show. Jaylen Brown quote tweeted that post and said, analytics nowadays used to discredit and control narratives. Roll the ball out. None of these guys better than me on both ends. Who does he work for? That's just the start of it. Honestly, haven't even read all the posts yet. Haven't even read it all. The most recent post that Jaylen Brown sent on his X page prior to this, Will Dalton, was him posting verbatim, "I love cats." So, Jaylen Brown expressing his love for felines and then going on this rant. What did you say?
I mean, hey, he's in the trade market. The Hornets were once the Bobcats. I'm just saying, he likes cats so much. The Panthers are right up the street from Spectrum Center.
Charlotte Hornets super fan Will Dalton, everybody. Still mad that the Hornets got rid of LaMelo Ball, which he should be very happy about. Okay, here's the rest of Jaylen Brown's X saga. No quote tweet this time around. Nobody has won more regular season games and playoff games combined since I entered the league 10 years ago. Is he done there? No, he is not. Analytics are ruining the game we playing, AI hoops. Bobby Marks has seen the posts from Jaylen Brown. And Bobby said this, in defense of himself, I would hope. Quote, "What wasn't posted was the second minute of what I was saying, or the 2 minutes of me saying, I'm not an analytics person, but an eye test guy. I would want Jaylen Brown on my team." Why are you saying I would want Jaylen Brown on my team in response to Jaylen Brown? I say you impact winning 191 and 80 over the last 4 years. I say you're a top 10 player and would help any team looking to win a championship. That part, of course, didn't make it, but that's the media in 2026. Bobby Marks trying to kiss Jaylen Brown's ass. Jaylen Brown quote tweets Bobby Marks.
Oh, my God.
State your source. Bobby, we ain't going to be friends unless you tell us what source said I'm the 7th best player on a team. Bobby, do what Jeff Goodman did to all those agents this week giving players bad advice. State your source. Burn them. Burn them, Bobby. Bobby! Did Bobby respond to that? I regret to inform you that Bobby did not. So there's Jaylen Brown on X, everybody. Drake Toll is going to be our guest in 15 minutes. Was thinking about this question. Where is Sports Hell USA located? Like, what sports city is Sports Hell USA? 310-840-4910 if you want in. Because if I arrive at the table, if I show up to the conversation with the Minnesota Timberwolves, you know what, Will? Since this is Saturday, back in the day, did you used to play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Were you a nerd like myself, like my big frame glasses would correctly lead you to assume I am?
I was very much interested in Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid.
You could show up to the local Books A Million where they'd be having like the Yu-Gi-Oh duels or whatever, and then you'd flip the cards over. You wanted to see who had the better deck, who had, what are the things called in the books? It's like the binder and you have the sleeves. Yeah, who's got the better cards, has the better binder. Never had the binder. My cards weren't as good as the real serious players here who probably poured a lot more money into it than I did. It was a lot of luck on my part when I was younger. But if I'm showing up to the sports debate, the ideas of sports debate of Sports Hell USA, and the card that I play is Minnesota is Sports Hell USA, can you beat me? 310-840-4910. You are cringing. Like, what are you thinking of if not Minnesota?
Well, that was what I was thinking. Is like, I don't know if there is anything better than Minnesota. Now, you can look at it in different contexts, like Buffalo, perhaps.
See,
Because
the problem.
the way
The
their
problem.
sports
Sorry,
held,
I got an email.
No,
See,
you
I
might
get
wanna
I
answer
get
that.
on you quite a bit. I get on you quite a bit because you have
For the
notifications and
notifications.
stuff on.
That's right.
And I had my notifications on the laptop.
See,
there, my bad.
the context for Buffalo being sports hell isn't because they stink. It's because the Bills have dangled the carrot in front of their eyes the last however many years that Josh Allen's been there. And it's like you think you might be somebody that can go up and dethrone Mahomes and the Chiefs, and you never do it. And then he's not in the playoffs, and you still don't get it done. And oh, wait, the Sabres make the playoffs for the first time in forever, and then they get their hearts broken.
But here's the
Tough.
problem with that. It's only 2 teams. That's why wouldn't say
I
that
know.
you're a North Carolina sports fan. Wouldn't say that the Charlotte Hornets or the Charlotte sports scene is in this conversation at all, because the Panthers in a short period of time have been to a couple Super Bowls and to another NFC championship. And Charlotte, while awful, you have the Carolina Hurricanes right down the road that's won the stand. That's not sports hell. It's not. Can't do it, won't do it. You know, it's interesting. It probably has to be pro sports cities. But if we were to limit our scope to college towns, that's an interesting debate where Sports Hell USA might be from a collegiate perspective. Eugene, Oregon, where Drake Toll's going to be joining us from in less than 15 minutes, they might be in contention. A lot of close women's basketball, Sabrina Ionescu, the men's team with Oregon, led by Dylan Brooks, going to the Final Four in 2017. Didn't end up winning it. No titles for the Ducks in college football as well, but coming close a few times, a few championship game appearances. That might be in consideration. If you're going to go to our state of North Carolina, NC State and Raleigh, North Carolina was a good choice for a long time because they were just good enough to be relevant. Hey, in football, you have Phillip Rivers and Mario Williams who are going near the top of the draft, and you had Russell Wilson at quarterback, and in baseball, you've been pretty good, and you get to Omaha only to be ejected before losing a game because of COVID. That was a brutal one 5 years ago. Basketball, a lot of history. Prior till the Final Four run that they went on a couple years ago, that crazy run that had them win the ACC tournament and all that, they had not won a ACC title. Like, put a national title to the side. Had it won a conference title in football, men's basketball, or baseball in over 30 years. So that was in contention, but they went to the Final Four a couple years ago, so it's probably not them. If it isn't Minnesota, if Minnesota's not the answer, and there are other pro sports cities you can come up with, we'd love to hear it. And we got Marcus who's calling in, perhaps from one of those places. 310-840-4910. Marcus is joining us from Cleveland. Marcus, are you going to do the predictable thing here and say that Cleveland's the answer?
No. I'm going to stay Midwest, though, and I'm going to go Detroit, even though the Pistons are half decent. They hadn't won a playoff series in years in the NBA. The Tigers are going to have to deal school. Everybody thought they were going to win the division this year. At this point, they have a very slim chance of doing that. And the Lions, for all we know, their window could already started evaporating. Yeah. You know, if Dan Campbell kicks a field goal a few years back, who knows? But at this point, they're on the cusp of being in a either getting out of that or remaining in, like, it's like limbo. It's like purgatory. So it's like a sports hell purgatory. Does that make any sense?
Oh, it does make a lot of sense. And I think it's a great submission. Thanks for the call, Marcus. Because
thank you.
D-Day, and there goes Marcus in Cleveland. D-Day and I were talking about this, Denton Day. And I think this is, hey, Josh Jacobs, you might want to let Marcus go. There goes Marcus. There we go. The part that's interesting about Detroit, their last title was the Red Wings, late 2000s. And the Red Wings won earlier in that decade, too, with one of the more dominant teams you're ever going to see. But, Will, Detroit hasn't been to the playoffs in a decade in hockey. It's been a decade since they've been to the playoffs. Crazy. But then the Lions, he's right, they're the Detroit Lions, and they might have missed their window with you blow that lead against San Francisco, as he noted there, in the NFC Championship game. You went for it on fourth down, didn't work out. The year after that, you go 15-2, and you lose your first home playoff game to Jaden Daniels in Washington. That window could be closing. The Pistons haven't won in more than 20 years. The Tigers haven't won anything since the 80s and might be moving Skubal. Yeah, it's a good submission. It's a good nominee. Mike in Northern California has an even better nominee, he thinks. Let's hear what it is, Mike.
It's not even close, brother. It's not even close. It's bad enough when you have maybe a team or teams that's not playing very well. But when a city loses, I mean, not loses like a game, but actually loses 3 franchises
Oakland.
within, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years, the Oakland Raiders, the Oakland A's, and they lose the 3-time champion Golden State Warriors. They have no franchises. Mismanagement and stupidity. What city has lost 3 professional franchises?
That is an excellent nomination. Thank you for the call, Mike. Appreciate that. Will Dalton, given how we framed it here, and I see Saltzman writing that in as well on our YouTube channel, what is Sports Hell USA? We think about it, which fan bases for teams that are in the cities are suffering the most. But at least you have teams to root for. Imagine you are an Oakland sports fan and you lost the A's, the Raiders, and the Warriors moving down the road. But if I want to be nitpicky about it, just a little nitpicky, you lost the Warriors by geography, but everybody in Oakland's still Warrior fans, right? I hadn't seen the violent, I'm not going to support the militant, violent, not going to support the Warriors anymore because they move. Teams do move geographically. The Bears are about to move to Indiana. The New York NFL teams play in New Jersey. We can go down the line how much we see this. So are we really going to say that the Warriors don't count for Oakland because they play down the road? Oakland probably is just as far away from San Francisco as Santa Clara is from San Francisco, and that's where the 49ers play. I don't know that for sure, but that would be the only pushback I have to that nomination. Are we sure? Hey, we can recircle back to this because this is a fun topic. Sports Hell USA. But we are being joined, or we're about to be joined, this segment presented by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Prior to calling Banana Ball on ESPN and ABC this weekend, Drake Toll joins us from the press box at Autzen Stadium, the home of the Oregon Ducks. Next on The Josh Graham Show.
A shocking NBA trade sends LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves for Naz Reid and a heap of draft picks. Ball joins Anthony Edwards in Minnesota to form one of the most exciting 1-2 punches in the league. Will it be enough to get past the Spurs and Thunder? Westwood One Sports.
Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports, where
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports, where the weekday morning host here on Westwood One Sports, the Drake Toll Show, is now joining us. That is Drake Toll. Tonight on ESPN, he'll be calling Savannah Bananas baseball, the bout with the party animals, Banana Ball. Also going to be on ABC tomorrow. He's at Autzen Stadium at the University of Oregon. Drake, what's the vibe a few hours before first pitch in Eugene?
Man, firstly, this place is a palace. The mountains in the background, the full setup. The people in Oregon have been great to us, and one of the cathedrals of college football. And of the stadiums I've seen, there are a few views that can compete with what Autzen Stadium gives you. It's also 59 degrees right now. Everybody's bundled up over here in the Pacific Northwest. This what is happening right now, and I don't want to give too much away to the listeners here, but it is 11 o'clock Pacific time at the time of you and I recording here real quick. And already 6 hours before first pitch, there are fans standing outside the stadium in merchandise lines, waiting to get in, trying to beat the doors down. The atmosphere around Banana Ball, its first time in Oregon, is a special one, not just because of the people who have shown up, but because the venue and how conducive Oregon as a university has been to our crew.
In addition to being terrific baseball players, obviously, we've seen how much work the guys put into something as simple as making the dances well choreographed. What kind of things is Drake Toll rehearsing? Have you been boning up on the lyrics to Shout since you're at Otson?
You have no idea I shuddered when you said that. We just got done with an hour-long rehearsal building up a shout moment and a thunderstruck moment for tonight. Andy Cosgrove of the Party Animals is going to walk out in a toga. We're going to have it's completely Animal House with a mixture of Oregon and their tradition of shout. And we worked tirelessly this week to find the perfect audio cut, the perfect visuals, and now rehearsing it in venue to bring it all together for the 55,000, 60,000 that'll be on hand this evening. And same thing with Thunderstruck. A couple Oregon cheerleaders will be in the fold with us. You'll see all that live on ESPN. The rehearsals were pretty intense this week just to get it right. You know, we understand that baseball, banana ball on a football field is different. And, you know, we want to bring our game to the fans that are in the 400 section, the fans sitting at the very top of the stadium. And to do that, it starts with merging the traditions that local fans are used to with our sport, with our game. And so a lot of what we have baked in and planned in here is going to be something that's familiar to the Oregon fan.
It's Drake Toll who's with us here, and he's all over the history, as the Bananas are. The reason Shout's so popular at Oregon games is because prominently featured in that song in the 70s classic Animal House, Toga, Toga, a movie that, by the way, was shot at the University of Oregon. So there's the connection. Shout, also a great wedding song. If you had to guess, is Shout going to play at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding next Friday?
Oh, well, it is Rashee Rice's favorite song, and I hear that Rashee Rice is invited. So as long as Rashee is there, Shout has to play by rules.
What is the primary source of intrigue, Drake, that you have surrounding the wedding? Next week, like, what is the amount of programming you're going to devote to it? Because between invite list and is it in vogue to have your own songs play at your wedding and first dance? Like, what is the primary source of intrigue to Drake Toll?
I would rather be shipped tomorrow bare ass naked to Cape Verde, which I didn't know existed until about a month ago, and dropped somewhere in a remote forest of the small archipelago and have to find my way back to the United States and ultimately the Drake Toll show, rather than utilize a segment to discuss the Taylor Swift wedding. But I find now that I'm listening to now that I've got Josh Graham on this topic, I'm realizing how entertaining it is to kick around what this wedding is going to be like.
See, that's what you did to me with the Rossini stuff. I stayed away, then listened to you, and was sold. But Drake, the possibilities of thinking about whether or not Taylor Swift is having an argument with Travis Kelce about her own love songs being potentially their first dance song when they were written about other dudes. Like, this is the stuff that we're here for. Like, what bands perform at the Taylor Swift wedding? Are they playing Taylor Swift songs?
I gave up on Taylor Swift after her song August, which I regret to say my current girlfriend has a tattoo of. This is a terrible story. I've never told this publicly. We're on our like first or second date, and she's like, "What do you think about Taylor Swift?" I was like, and you've got to be the dude here that plays. You got to play down the middle, because she can either hate her or love her. So it's like, so I appreciate she's a girl power. She's bouncing around it, and she's like, "Okay, do you know any songs?" Like, the only reason I can't fully get behind it is that song August, because it starts something along the lines of salt air, distant shore, never Never have I ever before. If you just read those lyrics, they are putrid. And she pulls up her long sleeve and just has a tattoo of one of the lyrics from the song "August" by Taylor Swift. It's like, well, this is our last date. Thankfully, that was not the case. But yeah, I've had a few Taylor Swift snafus in my life. I'm wondering if she'll sing "August" to herself, or if she has Travis sing her songs back to her at the wedding. This could be good.
There's just so much that I'm interested in. Like, what is the father?
Here's what I want to know. I need to know, is this like a Paul Simon, Carrie Fisher situation? Is this like we get married, we have a kid, it dissipates after like a decade, and then Travis Kelce goes on to write the greatest album of all time about taking his 9-year-old son to dead Elvis's home? That's what I want to know. Are we looking at how will this play out in 10 years?
Yeah, that just reminded me of a conversation I had. I don't know if I should say this earlier this week. Fine, if we're sharing things. It's like, I was like, do we have who is the best comp to Travis Kelce's level of fame in like the 80s and 90s? And I won't say who said this to me because he is notable. He responded, well, there is one person. It's O.J. Simpson. I'm like, oh, we had we had to do this. I hope Travis doesn't drive a Bronco. We got Drake Toll, who's with us here. Drake Toll Show. He's at Autzen Stadium, Banana Ball, tonight on ESPN. The player that will once again be calling Autzen Stadium home this year is Dante Moore at quarterback. He's at the Manning Passing Academy this weekend. Between him and CJ Carr and Arch Manning and Julian Sen and many others, how many quarterbacks do you put ahead of Dante Moore at Oregon?
It's not many, and what I'm looking at out of hosting Locked On Big 12 is a slew of quarterbacks out of that conference that could possibly come back in college football and see a resurgence, like a DJ Lagway or Avery Johnson at Kansas State. Those are a couple of names that are still hanging around in the fold of college football that you don't think of when you think elite quarterbacks. But at one time, the New York Post is naming Avery Johnson as their Heisman favorite. DJ Lagway is the greatest high school quarterback of all time and a 5-star prospect. Also, Drew Mestemaker at Oklahoma State led the nation in passing yards last year. So there are some hidden quarterbacks that I think could contend for New York and a Heisman invite. Are any of them better than Dante Moore? I'm not at the liberty to say yes when I'm surrounded by the beauty of the nature of of what is the Pacific Northwest and Autzen Stadium. The buzz in this city around college football. There are some places that you can tell, and I've been to Tuscaloosa. I've seen a night game in Tuscaloosa in the SEC, top 10 matchup, and man, it's almost, there are places where football feels oversaturated at times. And watching Alabama play a Wiley Mississippi State or a Wiley Arkansas, those are games they just don't get up for because they're used to this. But even when Mississippi State has Dak Prescott or Arkansas had Ryan Mallett, Bama fans are used to it. Here in Oregon, with their move to the Big Ten, every game feels new. You can feel this newness, this new energy to what the fan base is expecting in this college football season. But as a piece of that, there's also this guard of the last 15 years that, when Chip Kelly came in and had Marcus Mariota, and then you go to the Justin Herbert years into now the Dante Moore years, there is a positive saturation of college football in Oregon that's been revitalized by the Big Ten. And so, again, I can't vote against Dante Moore in these confines.
Let's close with where your feet are. Another epic night of Banana Ball ahead, 8 p.m. Autzen Stadium on ESPN. Tomorrow it's going to be on ABC. Savannah Bananas, Party Animals. What's been the pinch me interview that you've had in the booth so far this season? The one that stands out the most, and what could be in store tonight?
Man, always tough to narrow those down. And this year has been it ranges from like a Tyler Shucks to a Todd Frazier to the guys from Jackass Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville last weekend. But I was in a moment where I'm standing next to Johnny Knoxville, standing next to Steve-O. This is a week ago. Everything kind of melts for a second. You're like, these are two of the great. You realize in their presence, they are genius. That what they're doing is intentional, it's practiced, it's built out. And that's where I was so grateful to get to meet those two guys and take a piece of You just think like idiots. That's the first thing like, oh, yeah, of course, it's called jackass. It's a hold up the premises. They're going to go be idiots and be a lot of things. But no, the way that Johnny Knoxville thinks, the way that they see the world is so unique compared to, I guess, my perspective, my expectation, my perception of who they are. And learning from those guys for a day, learning from those guys for an hour taught me that, man, it takes a lot of very clear thought to get to their product, to get to what they do. And I was honored to be in the same room as both of those guys, have them in the broadcast booth. So this year, Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville, of all folks, their IQ is what blew me away and made me and made me pinch myself for a second. So this last weekend in Nashville was awesome. This weekend, man, and even personally, to be able to call games on ESPN is a dream of mine when I was a kid. In a lot of ways, I still am a kid, both good and bad, mostly bad. And now to call a game on ABC on Sunday is something that, from a career standpoint, just personal standpoint, it's gonna be it'll be emotional when we first go live Sunday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. My family's here. They don't get to come to banana ball games very often. They go to one a year. This is their only trip all season long. And so to have them here and to have this moment this weekend in Autzen Stadium is special.
Very much so. I'm trying to think of the most famous people that Oregon football might be able to produce. Marcus Mariota comes to mind. Dante Moore does. But honestly, Drake, I think the biggest get you could possibly get is the Oregon Duck himself. That is the best mascot I think there is. Is the Oregon Duck going to be involved? Is there something involving the Duck?
I have heard the words duck and Harley Davidson thrown around in the same sentence. I can't give too much away here, but I have heard those words in the same sentence today. I can't promise anything because there's a lot that we're still working on. It's hilarious to me. There's a on the side, which iconic track facility, some of the most iconic facilities you can draw up in all of college sports here in Oregon. We toured yesterday. There's a wall on the side of their tennis facility that's a bunch of just ducks, like the animal flying through the air. And in the middle of them, times 3 size-wise, is the mascot, like wings up, beak out, flying through these actual natural mallard ducks. They utilize that mascot better than anybody in the country. And we've got some fun things in store with our friend, the Duck.
Look forward to watching Drake Toll. Look forward to listening to you. You can catch him, Drake Toll Show, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on weekdays on Westwood One Sports. Thanks for making the time. Have a great call this weekend, friend.
Of course, Josh. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we'll see you cats on Monday morning if we don't see you on ESPN and ABC this weekend.
That's pretty cool. Drake Toll joining us here. Don't know if he wanted me to be sharing this on the back end, but he texted me prior to joining. There might be a Broadway Tony-winning, award-winning singer that is rehearsing during the conversation. Is that okay? A-okay on our part. So at some of the points where it might have sounded a little louder in the background, well, that's just no big deal. It's Drake Toll joining us in a Tony Award-winning Broadway actor / I would assume actress, based on the voice I heard there. Could be wrong. I don't know. In the background there. Could hear that a bit. Fun stuff from Drake. The question that we're asking this hour, where is Sports Hell USA? We got a nomination of Oakland, California. We got a nomination for Detroit. From Cleveland, of all places. I'm showing up to the table with the Minneapolis sports scene as being Sports Hell USA. What say you? I'll tell you why I think Minnesota is that answer because of news this week. Next on the Josh Graham Show.
U.S. men's national team has wrapped up group play. Up next, the round of 32 on Wednesday. How far can they go? Let's find out. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Sports Hell USA is a topic on the Josh Graham Show today. 310-840-4910. Tell us where exactly the coordinates to Sports Hell USA are, what those coordinates are. Mike in New York thinks he has the answer. Mike, you're on Nationwide Westwood One Sports and the Josh Graham Show. What is your nomination?
Okay, I would like to thank you for taking my call, first off. It's Buffalo, New York, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Okay? You can't just open and say and give a town without giving reasons. For all the time that the Bills were not in the playoffs, and for so many years that they stunk.
17 straight years, yeah.
But they stunk some years. The Bills fans always sold out, no matter the circumstances. Hockey, same thing. But for the last 2 years before they got back into the playoffs, we kind of got so aggravated with them because our ownership really is stupid. He's not really that smart when it comes to being an owner, even though he has the money.
Really? That wasn't a dead giveaway when he let go of Lindy Ruff and then made all these coaching changes for years with the Sabres before bringing Lindy Ruff back to get back in the playoffs? That wasn't obvious?
I love that. I love bringing Lindy back. That was fantastic.
Right. It took him a while.
Yeah. But the other thing I want to say is there is watch parties all over the world, okay? But there is no watch parties like there are here in Buffalo. Canal Side, the last game of the season, I was at it at Canal Side. There is 2 watch parties. There was one at Canal Side, and there was one right in front of right in front of KeyBank Center. The one at Canal Side, there was 25,000 people there.
What is your point exactly?
My point is the Buffalo fans are the best sports fans in the world. In the world. By far. And you know what? You're going to find that out. Well, let me tell you something so you understand it. There are streets named after Josh Allen.
That's fine. That's fine. I understand. Cleveland Browns fans are plenty passionate, too. The problem with Buffalo is it's only one team. It's that and the Sabres. That's the issue with Buffalo being the characterization versus other cities that have 4 teams that have all struggled.
Yeah, and I agree. And I agree with that, you know.
I appreciate the call. It's a great story. There goes Mike in New York. Great to hear from you. I hope you'll give us a shout back because I do want to share my nomination here. Other than the NBA, there is no sport in America where the month that follows the championship is just as interesting as the championship itself. But in the few weeks that have followed the Knicks ending their title drought, the draft has already been completed. Free agency is just a few days away. Plus, 2 blockbuster trades just this week. And let's examine those a little closer because there's some connective tissue here. First, it was Giannis being traded from Milwaukee to the Miami Heat. Then the Charlotte Hornets sent LaMelo Ball to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the connective tissue between the two is the Minnesota Timberwolves might as well be looking in a mirror at what their future is going to be, or look into the future at what their future is going to be, what Milwaukee was just going through with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Minnesota is going to be in the position that Milwaukee was just in, give it a year or 2 from now. Both front offices have swung and missed multiple times with the superstar in their building. Minnesota moved on from Karl Anthony Towns. That hasn't aged well, given he's a champion with the New York Knicks. The T-Wolves got back Julius Randle, though, in the trade. The same Julius Randle that was traded for a bucket of balls and a washing machine to start the week. Don't even know if they got the washing machine, but some cap relief in a second rounder. The Bucks, don't forget, infamously landed Dame Lillard, trying to keep Giannis happy, trying to stay competitive, top of the East, but that cost them a lot of capital. It cost them Drew Holiday, too. A few days after that trade, Holiday was flipped from Portland to the Celtics. The next season, Drew Holiday wins a title with the Boston Celtics, and the Bucks begin going into the spiral that led to Giannis forcing his way out. The other connective tissue between these two teams, the Timberwolves and the Bucks, is that the T-Wolves were in the mix to try to land Giannis. But the Heat had more to offer than Minnesota did. And that's why Giannis is now a member of the Heat. That doesn't mean that Minnesota was going to stop being desperate, though. They're trying to compete right now, and they're trying, a lot like Milwaukee, to keep their star happy in Anthony Edwards. Minnesota is now doing that by risking it all on LaMelo Ball. Risking it on LaMelo. And how do we know this is a risk? The Charlotte Hornets just had their best season in a decade, yet they made LaMelo available. Why? And also, if the Hornets didn't believe it was risky for Minnesota to take on LaMelo Ball, why would they agree to first-round swaps in 28, 29, and 30? The reason Charlotte did it, it's not because they think that Minnesota is going to be better than them for the rest of the decade. They think there's a scenario this goes badly and goes badly quickly, and those picks are pretty valuable. The truth about LaMelo Ball is he's an absolute wild card. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. This past season, the first time in more than 50 games, or first time in more than 4 years, that he's played more than 50 games. That's not very good. On the court, pretty erratic, not the most efficient player by a long stretch. Off the court, he's pretty erratic too. Don't forget, they moved on from Naz Reid in this trade. So you lose Julius Randle, you lose Naz Reid. In the Western Conference, which is pretty damn good and pretty damn physical, you're putting a lot of faith in Rudy Gobert, who just celebrated his 34th birthday yesterday. And don't forget that Dante DiVincenzo is coming off an Achilles tear in the playoffs, so it's uncertain you'll have him next year. In the end, it's hard to ignore the checkered history of Minnesota Timberwolves basketball and the Minnesota sports scene. You can make the case Minnesota, sports hell, USA. The T-Wolves just saw Karl Anthony Towns leave and win a title with the Knicks. A feeling they know all too well, with Kevin Love leaving Minnesota to win a title, and Andrew Wiggins leaving Minnesota to win a title, and Kevin Garnett leaving Minnesota to win a title. Heck, Viking fans just saw it with Sam Darnold leaving Minnesota and a year later winning the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. The T-Wolves, the Vikings, the Twins, the Wild, the four major sports in America, none of those teams have won a title in the last 35 years. 1991, Kirby Puckett and the Twins, the last one to do so. None of those teams that we just mentioned have even played for a championship since 1991. That definitionally is sports hell USA. But we put it to you. Is Minnesota sports hell USA? Or is it Buffalo? Or is it Oakland? Or is it Detroit's? 310-840-4910 if you want in on the program. Surprised that we haven't had the Cleveland submission yet. Because generally, you could just make the argument, yes, LeBron James won that finals 10 years ago. But if you put that aside, literally everything else has been abysmal. Literally everything else. The Cleveland Browns, are you serious? The Guardians, Cleveland baseball hasn't won since the 40s? You want to talk about long droughts? How about, here's an underrated choice. How about Arizona? D-backs haven't won in a quarter century. The Cardinals are horrific. The Suns have never won a title.
Yeah.
I
did think about Arizona because even in that little blip where they had Chris Paul and they got to the finals that one time, came up short, and then you got Kevin.
Weren't they up 3-2? Weren't they up 3-2 in those finals too? Lost in Game 7?
They may have been. And then you got Kevin Durant come in there, and you think, oh, now we got it. And that didn't amount to anything. So Arizona.
They overpaid.
All the more
They
reason.
overpaid. I mean, you gave up Bridges, and was Cam Johnson also in that trade?
I think so.
Nah, it was a 6-game series that year. but for some reason thought that maybe that they led that series. Might have to find that, dig it up. I thought that went 7. Huh. 6-game series. Okay. There you go. Oh, the Suns were up 2-0 in the series. So the Suns led 2-0, and then the Bucks won 4 straight games. The Chris Paul experience, the Phoenix sports experience as well. Make sure if you haven't already, you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's how you can watch the show in addition to listening to it. You can like, you can comment. You can write in. You can only make the case for Minnesota if you actively ignore women's sports. Not exactly. I get the Minnesota Lynx are really good. But then, again, where are we cutting the line off? Is every single professional sports title like made the same? Like the 4 sports, the big 4 in this country, have been that for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. So obviously they have more established fan bases than leagues that were created in the 90s. And that's not a blatant disrespect on women's sports, so to speak. We would do the same thing for MLS too. Like if Cleveland, hypothetically, let's say we lump Columbus Blue Jackets hockey and the Columbus Crew in with the air quote Cleveland sports team, and the Columbus Crew win a title, are we then lumping that into the conversation that Cleveland isn't sports hell because of the Columbus Crew's title? I don't mean it as disrespect to the MLS. I don't mean it as disrespect to the W. But that's a different caliber. I don't think cities are in complete elation because of a WNBA title, just like I don't think they're in complete agony with the lack of success in those sports yet. I hope that changes, but I think you have to draw the line somewhere, and I draw that line at the major 4 men's professional sports at the top. That's just personally where I draw. If you want to draw it differently, not going to object to that. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce get married in less than a week. Will Dalton's telling me he has a list accrued of celebrities, of Chiefs players, where he wants to ask me whether or not they're going to be attending the wedding next Friday. We'll get to that in just a little bit. The World Cup's going on as well. And speaking of the World Cup, heading into the knockout stages, the expectations could not be any clearer for Team USA. And we'll outline what those are and get to more of your Sports Hell nominations. 310-840-4910. All of that is next on The Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Sports fans are a special, special breed, and we love them so much. It is the Josh Graham Show, nationwide, Westwood One Sports. And something that is special and maybe hard to understand about sports fans. You do have fans that want to make sure at every point they defend their team and defend their city in saying, we are the best, and if you slight us, we're going to let you know. But sometimes things can be so bad that you get defensive of the bad. And that's something that has happened too in us asking the question, is Minnesota Sports Hell USA? If not, what is? Because Josh Jacobs is telling me, who's taking your calls at 310-840-4910, that the folks in Cleveland are mad that we don't think Cleveland is the answer. Sarah in Cleveland, do I have this right? Is Cleveland Sports Hell USA?
It 100% is. I mean, I'll just start with the Cleveland Browns. The fact that there's even conversation that we could possibly have Deshaun Watson as our quarterback makes me sick. I mean, it was the worst trade in NFL history. He set our entire franchise back for half a decade. and he might be the guy on the field. It doesn't make any sense. And so and then if you look beyond that, we keep having good things happen where we get excited, and then we choke and we lose it. Like we keep, we got to.
Because the pushback would be LeBron wins the title in 2016. There are a lot of cities that would love to have that memory, that type of moment 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just that we had one good thing happen 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we keep getting close. We get to the Eastern Conference, and then, I mean, of course, the Knicks obviously had a phenomenal performance the entire time, but we kept giving those games away. And
I hear you.
Then go back to 2016, the back then the Indians, now Guardians, we get so close.
3-1. Mm-hmm.
Then
and you lose that in Game 7 in extra innings, and Chris Bryant gets the final out. You're on point, Sarah, and I appreciate ball so much that you go back at the history with all of it, and you're right, too, with Cleveland. Thank you, Sarah, for the call. The Cleveland argument would just be, hey, the Browns matter more than the other teams, and the Browns are the Browns, and the Browns need to just be the focus in this. My question ultimately, though, is Dave in Cleveland, 310-840-4910. Is this a title that Cleveland fans wear proudly, that you might be Sports Hell USA?
I mean, we very well
Dave.
could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible for the simple fact that, I mean, outside of the Cavs, we have literally not been good at anything. I mean, well, not to say not been good, but we have gotten literally to the doorstep multiple times and have, I'm a big Indians fan / Guardians. I remember 95. I remember 97. I remember 2007. Whoever won the ALCS was literally guaranteed to win the World Series, and Boston won and swept them, the Rockies, in 4 games. The Browns have been, the Browns.
Sure.
The Cavs, go ahead.
No, I think you're hitting the nail on the head that is certainly the argument for Cleveland. I suppose that your optimism isn't very high in the Browns right now?
I'm happy with what they had with the last 2 drafts. I think there's positivity, more so than before. I think this year, again, is just going to be a play-it-out year because we have capital. I don't think it's going to be enough to get anywhere near the top 5 next year. But, hey, with our luck, we might be sitting 1 or 2 anyway.
I love it, Dave. Thank you so much for the call. Let's see if we go perfect 3 for 3. Matt is in Ohio as well. Matt, are you in Cleveland? Are you making the case for Cleveland as well?
For Cleveland being the sports hell of America. So it's kind of a catch-22 question because for so many years, Factory of Sadness, and Terry Pluto is a local reporter here, and he wrote a book, going over the 90s Indians, the 80s Browns. You got the drive, the fumble. What other city do you know has like 5 or 6 different names of their misery? You have the shot, the drive, the fumble, the decision. You could probably think of a couple others.
The block worked out pretty well for you, actually.
And the thing with Cleveland is we have more, just based on my perspective, we have so much more passion than so many of these other areas. Like you say Oakland, like you say Arizona. We definitely are harder, stronger sports fans with our love when it comes to when they suck or when they're good. It doesn't matter. We're still there to, be there for them. But I had kind of an argument that we're kind of spoiled in a way. Ohio State Buckeyes football. We're very, very proud, and especially Northeast Ohio, of Ohio State Buckeyes, and we've been very spoiled to have them be the best program in the last, probably 30 years besides Alabama, Georgia, a couple other SEC teams, maybe. So it's kind of a catch-22, but there are so many more negative, heart-wrenching, rip your heart out, your soul out moments in Cleveland than there are very proud of. Yes, 2016, So proud of that. And so proud. I'm one of those people that has always liked LeBron. Yes, the decision hurt and sucked, but he's a great role model. He's a great man. He's a great person to be from this area, and he still has humble roots. So that 2016 title is still very special, but it would be nice to have an Indians title. It would be nice to at least have the Browns be relevant. But that ownership doesn't know what they're doing, so until they sell, that is a lost cause.
All right. I hear you, Matt. Making the case very well. We're hearing fondly and strongly from the city of Cleveland. And a shout-out as well to our friends at 92.3 The Fan out that way. Have known Nick Wilson for a very long time and love the folks out there in Cleveland. As promised, we'll get to more of your Sports Hell USA nominations, 310-840-4910 in just a bit. I'm showing up to the party with Minnesota. We've heard from the folks in Cleveland, 310-840-4910. Speaking of showing up to the party, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce's wedding is next Friday. Will Dalton has some names that he's curious, are they going to get invitations from the Kansas City Chiefs roster? We'll get to that shortly. But as promised, the World Cup, expectations could not be clearer for the United States going into the knockout stages. It starts with beating, at a bare minimum, maybe it starts and ends with this, beating Bosnia and Herzegovina. Anything short of that is and should be viewed as a failure. All the good feelings that we see surrounding this federation right now quickly turn ugly if that were to happen, if they lose. Now, why is that? Well, Bosnia is not the same level as the United States. We're ranked pretty much consistently in the top 15 of the FIFA World Rankings. Bosnia isn't in the top 60 right now. This is the first time they've made it out of the group since declaring independence from Yugoslavia in 1992. But keeping it with the Americans, they're the host nation. They have a better squad than they did in 2022, so falling in your first knockout stage game, that is not something that we can accept as being a success. Can't do it. The round of 32, the round of 16, that would be a coin flip game. That likely is a coin flip game if they get past Bosnia and Herzegovina. Because we had that insane finish last night as I was hosting Westwood One Sports Night last night. Iran and Egypt saw the Iranians go from the highs of clinching their group to being eliminated because that stoppage time goal they scored was wiped out for being 1 foot offsides. Because that happened, Belgium won the group, and Belgium's match is paired with the U.S. and Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's a bad break for the USA. Because between Belgium, Egypt, and Iran, Belgium is right on par with the U.S. And most soccer pundits, unlike the other two, actually believe they're better than the U.S. And that should harken memories of the round of 16 in 2014. That's when Belgium beat the United States 2-1, and Tim Howard made a record 16 saves in net. If the U.S. were to win that game, though, if they won in the round of 16, likely against Belgium in Los Angeles, this World Cup instantly becomes the most resounding success in men's soccer history. It would send the United States to the quarterfinal for just the second time since 1930. The other time was 2002. But this is a lot different than 2002. It's a different age we're living in. Soccer's in a different place. And the World Cup's being hosted in our country. So that type of outing in your home country will have ripple effects on future generations. So they must beat Bosnia. And if they beat Belgium, giant success. If they lose, neither success nor failure. It's kind of what you're expected to do. Anything beyond the quarters is an absolute fever dream. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Let's go to Daniel, who's in Nashville. Daniel, are you making the case? Are we doing the thing where we're calling in and saying our favorite city is Sports Hell USA rather than defending it?
Yes, Nashville's pretty bad. I mean, we don't have the three major sports, so I just lump in as maybe the whole state of Tennessee is Sports Hell, because I think of what if Dyson wasn't a yard short in 2000? What if what if Memphis would have beat the Spurs in 2013? What if the Predators wouldn't have lost in 6 games to the Penguins?
2008 national championship game. What if Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas Roberts don't miss free throws and Mario Chalmers hits a shot?
Yeah, and we go as far as college as well,
That's what I'm saying.
Never been to a national championship. It's been a century since Tennessee's been to a national championship.
Well, I mean, 1998, so not this century, sure.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, it's just we throw in there. It was
I like the
last century
case.
when you
I
won
like the
national-
case because the Preds have had a rough go since the finals appearance against Pittsburgh, and the Titans, well, AFC Championship appearance. You had the number 1 pick. I like the case. Daniel, thank you. That's very thoughtful. Daniel in Nashville. Appreciate the call.
Well,
Let's go to, is it Kamel? Let's go to Kamel, who's in Los Angeles. Kamel, what's your nomination here on Westwood One Sports and the Josh Graham Show?
All right, yeah, it's Quamel. Yes, how you doing, everybody?
Quamel, sorry about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello there. No, it's all good. It's all good. So, just want to give a quick one because while LA has had a sports hell decade where they won 0 pro championships in the 90s, only UCLA in 95 kind of cleaned that up. Cleveland at least won the Cavs title. San Diego, though, I nominate San Diego because San Diego has not won anything. I think they got swept in both World Series. They lost the only Super Bowl to the 49ers. They lost the Rockets. They lost the Clippers. They lost the Chargers. That's just a lot of.
And then the Padres, 1998 or 99, they went with Tony Gwynn and lost. They've had some good teams in LCS, I think, a few years ago, and they have some good teams that spend. I like it. I think you could make a case that San Diego is West Coast Buffalo, where it's like, all right, you've got the Padres and you had the Chargers, and you love those teams, and I guess it'd be like if the Bills left. Hopefully that never happens, but I like it. Thanks for the suggestion out in L.A. Our friends 97 won the fan out there. New signal, new partners of the station here. Was listening to some of those folks. D-Mac doing a great job in the afternoons, and obviously you got D-Fish in the morning. Saw they had Dr. Dre stopping by the studio. No big deal. Pistol Pete's joining us? That's cool. From Buffalo. Pistol Pete is in Buffalo. Pistol Pete, I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where is the home of Texas Pete. How about we turn down our radio and you tell me what you think Sports Hell USA is?
Come on, man. I'm about to. Rough buff in the house, man.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm about to give a shout-out to the Bills Mafia and Go Sabres. First of all, I want to say this. Look, when you're a winner, you're a winner. This year, you give our hockey team, my Sabres, credit. Because, look, they was the what they call Atlantic Division champions. And not only that, I want to let you know something, bro. I don't know if you hip on lacrosse, but our band has just brought us 3 titles in a row. And I want to give credit to the Bills. First of all, roll with Josh
So
Allen.
you're standing up. You're standing up for Buffalo. Get out of here with the Sports Hell USA crap.
No, I got to tell you this, though. I'll tell you this. If you come visit in the wintertime, don't talk about the weather. Just bring a mink coat or a 4x4 or treats on me. Second of all, I got to stand up. Man, Pete Rockmore, I got to tell you this. Buffalo, we're a city of champions, hard workers. Now, we ain't get the Super Bowl. We did give some AFL champions back in the day with Jack Camp because I'm very, I'm knowledgeable about my history here. I was one of the most fortunate people. We have a new stadium. So, and not only that, but if you look me up, which I ain't going to lie to you, you have to look me up out of Atlanta, Georgia, which is my phone number that's on your call. But anybody know when you get to Buffalo how to get to me. But I want to tell you something. We're a city of champions, believers. Now, if you want to say that we bring the big one home, not yet. But I can tell you this. If they don't go a couple books, I'm trying not to use the fan, bad calls last 2 years, and then a timeout rule. Look, give me credit for the timeout rule. Extra overtime. Look, that became for us.
Pistol Pete, I got to tell you something. I love the call. Thank you for the optimism because there's somebody that is disagreeing with you wholeheartedly that wants to jump in, and I got to let him. Sean's in Niagara Falls. Sean, hopefully you're not getting wet in Niagara Falls. Pistol Pete says that's a city of champs. What are you saying, Sports Hell USA?
Yo, I keep it a buck. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. There has been multiple things, Mr. Clevelander. How about 13 seconds? How about wide right? How about no goal? How about 2 NFL rules being changed because of us in playoff games? I love your optimism, previous caller, but you must not be living here in the struggle right now because we still sweating bullets, still waiting for a championship. I keep it a buck. It's Buffalo, and it's hands down. It's not even close.
Keeps it a buck, Sean in Niagara Falls. Let's do one more. 310-840-4910. Gene in San Diego, you get the last word on this subject. What is Sports Hell USA? You've heard the nominees.
Oh, it's no doubt. There's no doubt it's San Diego. It's cracks me up the topic. We got no championships ever for the 8th biggest city in the United States. I've been a sports fan 50 years. Not one single championship. We're not little Buffalo or Nashville. We're the 8th biggest city in the state. I've never won anything. We have no college. I have no Ohio State. This topic ends right here. It's San Diego. Good night.
Do you root for the Chargers? Oh, good night. He meant it. He's right. I said he had the last word. I gave him the last word. He's like, good night. I'll leave it at that. I'll let Gene have the last word. Good night, he says. Love it. How many members of the Kansas City Chiefs are invited to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding? Will Dalton has a list. He's doing the Lord's work for us, and that's next on the Josh Graham Show.
NFL training camps open in 1 month. Yes, you're allowed to get excited.
All going through it together. Let's go.
It's almost time to pull that jersey out of the back of your closet. Here we go. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Spencer writes in, has Josh received a +1 from Taylor and Travis? The wedding apparently going to be at MSG on Friday. You can't overstate how big this wedding is, Will Dalton. My name's Josh Graham, Westwood One Sports. It's the biggest event at Madison Square Garden this year. Bigger than the NBA Finals. Bigger than the Knicks celebration, first title in 53 years. Honestly, the fact that this is July the 3rd, the day before the 4th of July, this is bigger than the 250th birthday for the United States of America. Like, this is the closest thing that America's had to a royal wedding when you consider we have our most popular form of entertainment in this country, a Hall of Fame football player, being wed to the greatest exporter our country has. Our culture's greatest export is probably pop music. Taylor Swift is one of our greatest pop stars ever. Those two are getting married. That is the event of all events, the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce wedding. So to commemorate this, Will Dalton, you have assembled a list. And let's play the game right now. We're going to call, we don't have a cheesy name for it. In or out? In or out? Will Dalton has the name of 9 or 10 people, he says. And all he's asking me is, are they in or are they out of the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding? Have they been invited? Are they going to show at the wedding? In or out? Let's play the game.
Let's just start with some of the more obvious names, some of the ones that you would expect. So right at the top, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Brittany is apparently friends with Taylor, and yeah, Patrick, he might even be, I don't know what the groomsman situation is. I'd assume that Jason Kelce is probably the best man, but Patrick Mahomes might be one of the groomsmen there, and I don't know. Taylor might be one of those girlies that has like nine bridesmaids, like a dozen bridesmaids. Who knows? Patrick Mahomes is probably in the wedding, is my guess.
I feel like this is also an easy one. Blake Lively.
That's a no.
You don't think she's getting an invite?
The Justin Baldoni stuff and
ugly.
Threatening to sick Taylor Swift on people as if Taylor Swift's like one of those winded up toys. Da 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 da. Yeah, that probably isn't great, so don't think that Blake Lively's going to be at the wedding. Harry Kane just scored. What up? 1 goal away from my my parlay hitting. I need to get over 2.5 goals, but England's up 2-0 on Panama. Harry Kane just became the all-time scorer in the World Cup from England. Okay, next up.
Let's go to the receiver room. Xavier Worthy.
I would hope so. If Taylor's going to freak out on the podcast that Xavier Worthy. Oh my gosh, we got Xavier Worthy.
Big fan.
I can't believe it. I would hope that Xavier Worthy gets the wedding invite. That'd be disrespectful if Xavier Worthy's not there, in my opinion.
All right. The new running back in town, Kenneth Walker.
So, with respect to Michigan State, got a Wake Forest helmet here.
Pro Deeks.
Hashtag Pro Deeks. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Go Deeks. No, Kenneth Walker's not there.
Didn't make the cut.
I understand you might want to build rapport with a new teammate, but generally those invites are going out. Those invites have been out for a while now. If the wedding is July 3rd, and especially when apparently you have to sign an NDA first before you even learn about the rest of the details with the wedding, that's probably been done a long time in advance before Kenneth Walker was ever a Chief. So no, I don't think he's there.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
We don't even know if Kenneth Walker's met Taylor Swift before, or for that matter, maybe just known Travis for like a week or two. Did you just say Jake Gyllenhaal? No.
Yes. Yes, I did. No, you don't think?
Jake Gyllenhaal, that's who All Too Well is about. Like, that's awkward. You're going to invite one of your exes. Now, there are some rumors that maybe they've patched some things up, but you just don't invite exes to your wedding. No, that'd be just as strange as if Taylor Swift danced with Travis Kelce first dance to one of her love songs that was not so high school. Wait, we're dancing to one of your songs that you wrote about some other dude, probably? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Jake Gyllenhaal's not going to be there.
All right. Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, huh? Is Rashee Rice out of jail?
I have no idea.
I'm asking.
Yeah, he is. He got out like a week and a half ago, remember? And the reporters like ran after him with cameras, and he ran away.
He got
It was a
released.
little bizarre.
He got released last week.
Yeah.
After serving a 30-day sentence. I will say Rashee Rice probably won't be there, is my guess.
Ah, I see. Well, what about the kicker, Harrison Butker? How about him?
I see what you're doing here. I understand the game.
Just asking.
I think the butt kicker will be there. Harrison.
Oh, yeah?
Has been there for a while. Harrison Butker, we've seen him, Patrick, and Kelsey walk out with Morgan Wallen at the Chiefs Stadium one time. Or was that? Actually, no. I don't think Harrison Butker was in that group. I'm confusing it because people got mad at Morgan Wallen for wearing a number 7 jersey, thinking it was a Harrison Butker, when in fact he's always wore 7 his entire career. That's a great question. Is Harrison Butker going to be there? The guy did have a game-winning kick to win a Super Bowl and has been around for a while. I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. Harrison Butker might be officiating the wedding, for all we know.
How about Tyreek Hill? How about him? Spent some time in Kansas City.
Tyreek isn't going to be there.
Cheetah's not coming?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I would be interested to know like what Taylor Swift's more likely to draw a line about. Would it be Harrison Butker's opinions that she might disagree with, or Tyreek Hill's actions from a long time ago that are objectively worse than whatever opinion you might espouse or whatever opinion you might disagree with from Harrison Butker? So yeah, Tyreek Hill is a no. I mean, I thought this was going to be full of celebrities. I thought you were going to be asking me like Noah Gray from the tight end room. Shout out to Duke. I thought it was going to be like George Karlaftis or Nick Bolton. How many more of these do you have left?
Just one. Just one.
Okay, what's the last one?
Will Kanye West be in attendance?
Yay?
Will Ye be there?
You got to get on
I'm
stage and
curious.
say, Taylor Travis, I'm going to let you finish, but of course he's going to be there.
See,
He made that
there you go.
famous. That's what he did. He made that bleep famous. Kanye West will be there. That'd be the craziest thing ever. So there you go. In or out. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce wedding edition. Oh, what a wild time. What a wild time. That's probably why I don't think Kim Kardashian, she probably won't be on the list. Venture to say. Emily writes in. Is Chris Jones invited to the wedding? Will Dalton, I say yes. Over under Chiefs 53-man roster. Over under 29.5 Chiefs.
Under.
That is a lot of Chiefs. But you going to leave out anybody from the tight end room? Probably not. Everybody from tight end U is going to be there. I'd love to get a final count on how many people are at the wedding. It is at Madison Square Garden. So there probably will be a lot of invitations. It might have been, since it's at MSG, it might just be flatly, Will. The entire Kansas City Chiefs team is invited. Travis Kelce might just pull that move and say, if you're on the Chiefs, you're invited, but I need that NDA.
I mean, he might. I mean, that would be kind of a weird divide in the locker room. It's like, hey, you guys are invited, but you guys aren't. He might just want to invite the whole team.
Maybe that just
Andy
might be.
Reid said he cut down on the cheeseburgers to get in his suit. He did say that.
Is he going to wear is he going to wear like the White House attire with like a regular normal suit? Or is he going to wear the suit with cheeseburgers and Chief logos on it?
He'll probably have a
gonna
nice
be
suit. But
something
he'll
a
wish
little
he
bit
was
more
wearing the
respectable.
cheeseburgers. He'll wish.
Understood. By the way, before it becomes too far removed to not talk about the NBA draft anymore, it is disrespectful that Caleb Wilson is taken 4th overall in this draft and yet has the 5th best odds to win the Rookie of the Year. And it's by a long shot. The first 4 have plus 450 odds or smaller. His odds are at plus 950. Vegas is essentially telling you, odds makers, yeah, not happening. So you know what we're going to do? By the way, this segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Caleb Wilson's our pick to win Rookie of the Year. We're firmly planting our flag in the ground on this one. He is right there with the 3 players in front of him, and now he's going to have an enormous chip on his shoulder. See, out of the top 4 guys who were selected, Caleb's the only one that faced the other 3 in college. And what happened in those games? Glad you asked. A.J. DeBonsa faced Caleb in an exhibition in Salt Lake City. Caleb had more points, had more rebounds. Best player in that game. Soon after that, Caleb carried the Tar Heels past Darren Peterson's Jayhawks. That was before he started having the cramping issues. Best player in that game, won the game. Cam Boozer only lost 3 games at Duke. One of them was the one time he faced Caleb Wilson in Chapel Hill. Caleb Wilson, better player in that game, won the game. And by the way, this is something that Caleb pointed out when he was meeting with the local media in Chicago. We have this, right? Josh Jacobs? Here was Caleb Wilson meeting with the media, making the point to say, yeah, I'm not scared of those guys.
I mean, you know what happened when I played them. So, I mean, it don't really matter. I don't really care about the media. I'm a competitor, and I get to play in my summer league too. So whatever need to be done to prove that I'm on the same level but I'm better, we'll do it.
You hear that? I'm not just looking forward to playing these guys during the season. I want to play them in Summer League. He wants all the smoke. Summer League schedule's just announced. Predictably, first 2 games, the first night in Vegas, you have Cam Boozer's Jazz facing AJ DeBonce's Wizards, and then it's followed by Caleb Wilson's Bulls facing Cam Boozer's Memphis Grizzlies. Did I say Cam Boozer's Utah Jazz? I meant Darren Peterson's if I said that incorrectly. Pardon. But don't forget this. Caleb played on the least talented college team between the 4. As was evidenced by Carolina going from being a top 10 team with Caleb Wilson healthy to being a complete non-factor and Hubert Davis getting fired and blowing a 19-point lead in round 1 of the NCAA tournament when he was hurt. None of his teammates, Caleb Wilson's, was selected in the top 50 picks of the draft. Role's very important when thinking about Rookie of the Year. Caleb's role is going to be a huge factor in these conversations too. Look, Cooper Flagg is the most talented player to come out of last year's draft. Was he the most deserving Rookie of the Year winner? Don't think so. But he won the award because stats are stats. He was allowed to take all the shots for a tanking Mavs team, while Con Knippel had lesser usage but played in more meaningful games. Like they're trying to win in Charlotte and made the play-in, and you had LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges to share shots between. They just looked at Jason Kidd just looked at Cooper and said, "You want to run the point? You want to take all the shots? Go right ahead." AJ DeBonce, Darren Peterson, they're not going to be leaned on as heavily as Caleb Wilson is right out of the gate. Washington has Trae Young and AD. Utah has a slew of guys in the pecking order ahead of Darren Peterson. Keontae George and Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, maybe even Ace Bailey. Who does Caleb Wilson have in front of him? Oh, it's Josh Giddey and Bazelis? That's it. And those guys, given how different their games are, might elevate Caleb Wilson, not take away at all. And you might say, well, Josh, you haven't mentioned Cam Boozer in this. Yeah, his type of game, it's probably going to be an adjustment period with how he deals with NBA speed and NBA physicality. But keeping the focus with Caleb, the mindset is everything you want in a star. And this is where getting to see him up close, being based in North Carolina, watching Caleb Wilson, watching Darren Peterson a couple times, watching a lot of Cam Boozer. Caleb Wilson's about as impressive a young person, certainly a freshman, that we've had a chance to talk to. And that includes Zion Williamson. That includes a guy like Cooper Flagg. We've seen some very good players down here. He exudes poise and confidence. He's even talking about winning the Rookie of the Year award. Here was Caleb Wilson, more from him on this topic specifically.
I mean, I expect to have Rookie of the Year, honestly. I mean, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do what it takes. I feel like the team is really good for me and how I envision to play. And I know I'm a hard worker, so whatever I need to fix it and work on throughout the season and before the season, I'm going to work on it so I can be a great player.
He has the best physical tools in this draft. Does that mean he's the safest pick? Probably not. AJ DeBonce, a little bit more polished shot. His game, his interior game, a little bit more polished too. But physical tools-wise, nobody has more of them than Caleb Wilson does. For those who didn't watch him in basketball, he got hurt. But prior to getting hurt, he was the best dunker in the country. The guy could just jump out of the gym. It's crazy. So while we're forecasting he's going to win the Rookie of the Year, plus 950 odds, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings, I'm expecting he's going to be the best player in this draft. And we're firmly planting our flag in the Caleb Wilson camp. Will Dalton, to close out this program, what do you got to put it to bed?
A man found out what happens when you try to pose as a cop and pull somebody over.
Spencer writes in, has Josh signed his wedding NDA? I wish. Be such a great flex. Oh, how was your summer? Oh, I was at the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding. How was it? Love to tell you. Can't. Signed the
told me
NDA.
not to.
Flex. All right, we'll put it to bed next.
A shocking NBA trade sends LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves for Naz Reid and a heap of draft picks. Ball joins Anthony Edwards in Minnesota to form one of the most exciting 1-2 punches in the league. Will it be enough to get past the Spurs and Thunder? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Craziness at the World Cup with Croatia going back and forth with Ghana. Croatia scoring to go ahead 2-1. Trying to figure out who exactly is going to win Group L. England's up 2-0 against Panama. Could really use one more marker to hit on that three-leg parlay we mentioned earlier. Fear that the English might be trying to park the bus. Before we put this show to bed, Mike Wickett's going to be ahead. Mike Wickett, Will Dalton didn't even ask. He asked about Jake Gyllenhaal, Kanye, Rashee Rice, and Harrison Butker. He didn't even ask if Mike Wickett was going to be invited to the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding.
I mean, gentlemen, I have met Taylor twice. I have met her in a VIP group meeting before 2 concerts. I did get a tour of Arrowhead when the performance, when it took a giant leap to stadium tours. Her mom did give us. I haven't seen the invite in my mail yet, but I imagine it's coming. But no, as of right now, on June 27th, no, I have not yet been invited to the greatest event in the history of Madison Square Garden. Josh, you are spot on, my friend. I don't know what Will
No,
is.
it's not.
Why does Will hate
53 years?
The pride of Pennsylvania, the great American icon, the most famous human on earth, and Will's one of those guys that's like, oh, get her off my TV. I can't watch football because she's on 13 seconds of a 3.5-hour broadcast.
It's not even just that. Yes, it's the biggest thing at MSG, but also it's bigger than America's 250th birthday next year.
Actually, it's amazing that the wedding coincides with the 200 like we get the Revolutionary War, some other stuff happen, and then Taylor Swift's wedding to top it all off on the anniversary. It doesn't get better than that.
I brought this stat up on Westwood One Sports Night last night. I said ESPN pays around $100 million per Monday Night Football game to broadcast. That's what it would cost. July 3rd is, for many, the national holiday. That is how pretty much every corporate company is going to be observing the 4th. So most people have Friday off next week. Netflix, Amazon.
Yep.
What would the price tag be to say you have the broadcast rights to Taylor Swift's wedding? In fact, you know what? I want to put a pin in that. I'm copywriting that. I'm NDAing this. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow because then we could start talking about who we want in the booth where we get Mike Breen in Madison Square Garden saying bang! Bang! As soon as the ring's put on the finger. Ideas aplenty.
This
Mike
is getting
Wickett,
better.
tell me real quickly what you have on the show, and we look forward to listening to you in a bit.
We are talking about the Giannis trade for sure today, what it means for both sides, the Heat and Milwaukee. And I'm depressed. I'm sad. The Brendan Sorsby decision really bummed me out.
Bums him out. We'll find out why in just a little bit. That's Mike Wickett. Now let's close out our program before getting to Mike with Put It to Bed. Your mic's on mute, Will Dalton.
Oh, yeah, it might help if I turn that on. That's good. This guy, he tried to pose as a cop. Like, he had the lights, he had the LED bar that flashes, all of it. And he attempted to make a traffic stop. He tried to do this. Here was the problem. The person that he was pulling over was an undercover cop. That's how that went down. So this was in it was Hillsborough County, in Florida, and they put out this release, and they said we arrested a guy for trying to conduct a traffic stop on one of our officers. That's the official headline there. Apparently, it was a black Chevy Suburban that he was rocking with. Not good.
The cop was rocking with the black Chevy Suburban?
No, the guy posing. The guy posing as a cop.
That is a good car to pose with it, though, because you know that feeling when you're driving and a car rolls up. It's at night. Like, there's certain models, vehicle models, where you're like, is that a Crown Vic?
You just know.
Is that
the Charger?
Oh yeah,
the Charger.
The Charger. We're just gonna slow down a little bit here. Oh, you can pass me. That's okay. We might just adjust the cruise control about 4 or 5 miles per hour, a little slower. That's what we're gonna do. Do you rock with the cruise control often? Like you've ridden with me and know that I ride heavy on the cruise control.
Yeah, I don't really mess with my cruise control, to be completely honest.
Even on the highway?
I've actually never messed with it. Yeah, I've never messed with it. Never really felt the need or thought to.
And then it's great. You don't have to look at like your mile. You don't have to look at how fast you're going for most of it. Like you just, generally speaking, I try to float between 7 to 9 miles per hour over the limit. That's where I float.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good
Now,
spot to be.
If it's past midnight, 1 in the morning-ish, because we do some late night driving, I might bump that puppy up to 12. I might do 12 over, which some might say is a little crazy, but I'm like, all right. It's 1:30, 2 in the morning. That's what I'm going to do. Saying it out loud, that doesn't sound like a great idea, but it's what I do.
You just got to keep an eye out. That's all you got to do. Just for unmarked cars. That's what you got to do.
Make sure if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel or our podcast feed, you do that. Westwood One Sports Night YouTube. That's how people watch. That's how people listen. I think I see 638 watching at the moment. Those are amateur numbers, to quote Matthew McConaughey. Woo! We could do a little better than that. Like, subscribe, comment. That helps with the algorithm, all that. Thanks to Drake Toll for joining us. Watch him, Otson Stadium, Savannah Bananas. Tomorrow, we're going to figure out what the broadcast crew for a hypothetical broadcast of Taylor Swift's wedding is going to look like. Oh, and Travis Kelce's. Mike Wickett is next.
This is Westwood One Sports.